About 30 to 40 on each of the 6 levels, so between 160 and 200, 7 days a week, pretty much at all hours of the day. The only time there wouldn't be somebody in the mine was after they blasted. You guys will notice these walls are pretty grimy, and if you touch them, you'll actually get dirt coming off. Just don't touch the wet spots, you can touch the other stuff. And most of this is left over from the extremely dirty drilling and blasting process. And it would have been 100 times worse back in the day. So 2 hours afterwards, after the blast, they would have had to let all the dust settle, and then the next shift comes in and starts the entire process over again. So just to kind of fun fact, right above our heads where the flat rock is, 200 feet up is the westbound lane of I-70.
I started it.
Oh. Like you said.
Dragons.
So the most notable part about this section of the tunnel is that there's some nasty black stuff coming out of the wall right here. You'll notice it's not floating away in little droplets. Unfortunately, this is not crude oil. This is what's known as dragon's blood. And this is one of the things the miners would have looked for when they were searching out veins. Those of you in the back, there's actually another example right here on the wall. And that is indicative of a pretty good sized vein of silver. Compared to this one, you can see that this is considerably larger. We have estimates coming in that this is very possibly a lode or a mother lode of silver between 10 and 100 feet back. Why didn't they excavate it? Very simply because this didn't show up until after the mine closed. Why don't we excavate it today? Again, because silver is around $19 an ounce right now, and it is just not commercially viable. Gold, on the other hand, is about $1,300 an ounce. Yeah. And we have tons of old gold mines that are currently in the process of going through licensing shenanigans to get open and producing again. The first mining claim stakes in Colorado, the Capital Prize down in Georgetown, had an assay that said that there was about $2 billion worth of material still left without having to do any further excavation than what already exists. It's the modern day gold rush.
Okay.
Here goes. You keep me going in mind.
We're going to head down to the right first. We will continue the turn the extension, which is in here. For those of you above 5 feet tall, we have a beam standing in the ceiling in here. Just watch out, he likes to fight.
Wet down here.
Yeah.
Those of you just walked in, you'll notice there's another slimy rock back here. Feel free to touch that one as well.
That face too.
Awesome. So first of all, how's everybody feeling?
Good.
Still doing good?
Yep.
Excellent.
We're going up or down?
We actually stay pretty much at this same level the entire way through the tour, which is good because sometimes we get people in crutches in here, believe it or not. So the first thing most people notice when they come into this room is that it's pretty much quite larger than the rest of the mine just exited. For those of you who haven't been on the tour before, anybody got a guess as to why that is? Got one? What do you think?
Because they were starting to mine higher.
That's part of it. That came later when they started putting this rest of this stuff in. What do you think? Anybody else?
Place for the water to cross,
Say what?
for cars to pass and stuff.
That was also what it was used for later on. One more try, buddy.
Did they eat lunch here?
We actually just passed the lunchroom. That's not Good guess though. All right, so you guys remember what it was for? Been on a tour before?
Well, it's like where they refined the ore and the
That's
two mines
close.
fought
That was
over
right
it.
back there.
Oh.
If you guys look up on the ceiling, I'll give you a hint. See that black rock up there, that same silver ore? That's pretty much all that remains of the morning glory mother lode.
Oh my.
You guys familiar with that term? A lode is pretty much anywhere in the rock where there's a pocket or a bubble. And then the mineral-rich water, which you can kind of see coming out still right here, leaches in and ultimately crystallizes, much like rock candy, all the good stuff. Just to put in perspective for you, 300,000 of a 500,000 ounces came out of this mine, came from right here in this room.
Oh, jeez.
That's right. And industry standard is about 5 to 10 ounces of silver per ton of material extracted. That's 2,000 pounds. This was more like 500 to 1,000 ounces of material per ton. Very rich, and this is why they've mined all the way back here. Now, in 1896, I said the mine closed. At that point in time, they decided that they were going to just leave all the materials in here, blast the portal shut, and then try and come back in a couple of years when the government had fixed the money problems that were characterizing the day. You know, it still really hasn't happened. As a consequence of which, everything except for the rope and myself are original in the position that they would have been left in 120 years ago. So the rope would have been an inch-thick steel cable that has since rotted away in the damp back here. And this machine, which was actually manufactured right here in Georgetown, is the steam hoist. And that was used for the later years when the silver was depleted from the lode. And they were, in fact, running cars through here and running miners, and this was kind of their distribution hub. They would have ran compressed air down through here, turned this piston, which would have rotated the shaft in the drum, and ran line up over here where a pulley would have hung. And that would have brought stuff up and down through this shaft right back here. Now there are winds, this one is 90 feet deep, and goes back down to those two flooded lower levels. Now it's one guy's job on every mine shift to stand at the bottom of that knee-deep water and watch as this hoist raised 1,000 pounds of ore in this rickety-looking bucket up. You guys ever tried running in a swimming pool?
Yes.
You're not going real fast, right?
Yeah.
So his job was to watch and make sure that that bucket didn't snag. If you look over your head, folks, you'll notice this rock does not fracture very cleanly.
No.
And if it did snag, this thing was more than powerful enough to snap that inch-thick steel cable. And what you wind up with is a flat liner at the bottom of that, having a very bad day. Believe it or not, that's actually the origin of the term getting a shaft or getting shafted, right here in Georgetown. Got a question?
Where did all that water flood in there?
That's an excellent question. And when you guys came in, you heard the creek. It's about 20 feet below us right now. A lot of the water comes in just like trickling through the ground. It's below the water table. The rest of it comes in little artesian springs like the one you see right back there on the wall, with some more of that dragon's blood coming out. We're going to take you back in the extension in just a little bit, and I'll show you where something like 30 or 40% comes out. It's a much larger spring. And, you know, basic result of that is that this is a pretty wet mine, and that's why the shafts are flooded. So remember, you guys were asking, you know, what kind of minerals we pull out of here. Obviously silver. I had a question about other stuff as well. If you guys look right here, you'll notice that black, yucky looking stuff. That's iron oxide, rust. And then over here, it's got some greenish blue stuff coming out of the rock. That's called azurite copper. Also, that dragon's blood I pointed out earlier has got some gray stuff right next to it. That's manganese and zinc. We also had in various places stuff called corundum, which is what makes sapphires and rubies. And I'll show you a little bit of that back in the extension. And that's aluminum oxide. So pretty much anything that you can think of besides gold came out of this mine.
So your dragon's blood then is a magnesium oxide of some sort?
It's manganese oxide, a little bit of silver oxide, a little bit of zinc. You got tons of stuff. Some of the mines on the other side of the valley, not here thankfully, they actually had radium and uranium coming out in the water. So, like I said, anything you can think of. So the next part of the tour, if you guys want to form a single file line and head right back up there, I'll follow you in.
So is the mine particularly...
Guys, we'll follow you back on part 4, I guess.
In fact, you
Bye.
remember the